Hello, everyone. I'm happy to be here with an expert. He's an expert in a field which I know very little about, political consultancy. Right now, we have with us Vinay Yadav. Over to him. Let's listen to you, Vinay. Go ahead, please.
Big hello to you, sir, and to those as well who are likely to watch this in due time. Uh, First thing first, I would like to thank you for deeming me to be a suitable candidate for this interaction. Uh, I think before I get started, it's only fair that I introduce myself. So, a brief intro about me. My name is Vinay Yadav. I was born in Bombay. Spent my formative years down south as my father was in the Navy back then. I did my schooling, my graduation, post graduation, all from Delhi itself. After completing my masters from St. Stephen's College, uh, Delhi University, I took to preparing for civil services. Unfortunately, I was not able to take it to a desirable end. Sensing a keen interest in politics and realizing that the transferable skills that I had acquired during the journey make me a good fit in the world of political consultancy, I made a switch. Uh, I first started off as a research analyst at ETG, covered my first election there, Gujarat state election, made a switch to STC as an associate, wherein I covered two elections back to back. First, the Lok Sabha election in Maharashtra, and then the Vidhan Sabha elections that followed. So that's that. Now that we have gotten out of the way, let's get right to it. So I would like to take this opportunity to bring attention to the dark side of UPSC preparation, the UPSC trap as they call it, and how it is rendering generations after generations obsolete and broken. I mean, it's about time that we call out this vulgar and healthy obsession with the UPSC preparation. More and more people are talking about it lately, but I think more needs to be done, and I want to be the one doing his bit. As we know, I mean, there is this vicious cycle attached to the preparation, wherein you think you are just one attempt away from clearing the exam, and with the success rate so low, you are back to square one once you fail to make the cut, and that renders you obsolete and broken in ways that you can't possibly imagine. I think before we go any further, it's important to understand why this preparation is such an eluding idea for many. There's a sentiment like there's nothing like IS, which finds such great favor among aspirants that they find it almost next to impossible to resist it. Like it's too tantalizing for them. And this sentiment is fueled by this popular public perception of what people perceive an IS to be. They think he's the one, he calls the shot, he's the king, the system is designed to serve him, which is far from truth, but it is what it is. And so it offers a shot at greatness to ordinary, mundane, mediocre lives. So the perks, the gali, the cabin, the entire paraphernalia, these are the main reasons why people opt to prepare for civil services. And not to forget the opportunities to make money hand over fist under the table. That is also a big reason why people do decide to take up the preparation of civil services. What makes this a perfect setup for disaster is that quite often you jump into the the civils arena without having a backup plan and without realizing the importance of having it. Not having prior job experience makes it all the more difficult to get out of this vicious cycle, because even if one somehow wants to make a switch and transition before one runs out of options, one doesn't really know what to take up to kickstart the journey with, or know how to go about it, look up in which direction, thereby feeling trapped and defeated. I mean, irrespective of which stage you decide to let go, being a fresher, not having prior job experience, and invariably being on the wrong side of 30, I mean, will and it surely does make it incredibly hard to get your life back on track. Something that I can vouch for. So, when you make clearing the exam a measure of your worth and intelligence, being unable to take it to is desirable and uh, messes you real bad. I mean, this coupled with the tendency to put all your eggs in one basket, letting sunk cost fallacy creep into your decision making, you find yourself lost and confused, not knowing what to do next, where to go find your passion, passa, and respect. And you know you don't know what to do. And what makes it worse is that you want quick fixes. You want to do too many things too very fast. So there are suggestions floating that UPSC should put a a cap on number of attempts, or make mandatory prior experience, which in my opinion will go a long way in helping those who are facing the predicament as I discussed before. At least you'll have something to work with to get your life back on track. It's like UPSC thinking on your behalf because you are failing to do so because you're so consumed and obsessed and caught up in the whole world of UPSC preparation. See, in my humble opinion, if UPSC thing doesn't work out for you, uh, you should try your luck away from the UPSC world to find your purpose and passion and profession. Like go in the opposite direction in an un-UPSC like world, something that these schools offer. So instead of working on the if not IS, let's do TCS plan, which is a jump down in my opinion. You should try to match IS in profile and impact elsewhere, like bagging consultancy roles in McKinsey and BCGs of the world, or also challenging roles elsewhere. Because okay, one I think I this needs to be addressed. I do understand that you cannot make UPSC as a reference for talent or success. I do understand that. But then we need to understand who we are tailoring the pitch to. You tailor the pitch according to the audience it caters to. People get into civil services preparation thinking that this is the best, nothing like it. So, in order to help them get out of it, you need to tell them that there is something outside which is just as good as civils in impact and in every sense. Only then they can come out of it because once you take up the thing, once you decide to prepare for civil services, you do so telling yourself that this is the very best. There's nothing like it. So even if you are considering to do something else, it's like you conceding defeat because no matter what you do, it will be less than civils. So in order to help them get over it, you need to tell them that there is something, there is stuff that you can do outside, which is just as good as civil services. So that being said, it's important to use the said reference to help them make informed choices and convince them this is not the end of the road for them because, and they can achieve great things just as they perceive IS to be. Because what I understand is not giving up is good, but just as significant is knowing that there is no point in flogging the dead horse. Like hope is like wine. I mean, till the time you have the first glass. After that, it becomes an addiction. So that end, I believe, and the skills that one acquires during the course of journey will keep you in good stead no matter what you decide to try your luck at. For example, uh, when you're preparing for civil services, you can't let the enormity of the task intimidate you. You learn to break down your targets into smaller chunks. You have to be a stickler for time. There's so much to cover. You cannot be somebody who wastes time. So all these qualities can come in really handy no matter what you try your luck in, especially the world of political consultancy. I mean, electioneering is very much like policing. It's a 24/7 thing. So, it's an understatement that it gets hectic. So if you're somebody who can see through relevant information and information overload and get to the relevant bit, it will keep you ahead of the competition, ahead of the curve. So I think there's no reason to believe that it's the end of the road for you. Pick yourself up and do great things.
So what you're saying is that people should not just try for UPSC. They should do other things also, and in any case have a plan B because success rates are so low. Is that sort of your summary of what you're saying?
Exactly. It's a mental health epidemic, sir. No one is talking about.
Well, but there are many people who are not going after UPSC, younger people. Let me tell you my personal side. My father was a civil servant. Three of his
Mhm,
children were, I was not. And then
mhm.
none of his grandchildren is a UPSC type. And so,
I think
it vanished by the younger generation, below me, my nephews and my children, nobody is a UPSC type. Whereas all I grew up with was UPSC. Right? So it has changed in my family at least that there's not a single one of my father's grandchildren who is a UPSC type, whereas when we grew up, all we knew was, I mean, not all, of course, I didn't take the UPSC exam knowingly, but 3 out of his 8 children were UPSC types. So we felt like a UPSC family, but none of the grandchildren. So in my family, at least, the attraction of UPSC among the younger crowd has vanished, and I doubt that any of the next generation after them will look up to UPSC. They are all doing other things, and I guess enjoying them. So, and I talked to so many young people in Vidpeds. There are some who did try for UPSC or some who talk about it, but most of them are not looking at it. So, yes, there are enormous numbers of people. I know the numbers are huge, but there's still enough people who say, no, look, they don't even think about it. But what you
I
are
mean, like I said,
addressing, what you,
like I said, there is a growing awareness about it. But
yeah,
as for the example that you gave for yourself, I mean, the fascination with civils is all the more when you don't have an IS officer in your family.
okay.
Like when you see what an IS officer means from close quarters, you understand that there's so much more to life than just becoming an IS, right? So it's a different thing altogether for those who don't know what it means to be an IS.
Okay.
You have seen it from very close quarters, so you were in a position to make an informed choice.
Well, I was not quite in an informed position, but let me tell you, after I finished my MA, of course, like you, I had to decide what to do, right? So I had three choices,
Hmm.
as
Hmm.
I remember. So one choice was, okay, I can become an economist, but I set myself a high standard for that. That if I can get into a PhD program at a top university, then I will be an economist. Okay. Next, the default, do the UPSC exam. And
Hmm.
wow, it would certainly please my father. And I don't know whether I'll get in, obviously, but those days the competition was much less. I'm talking early 1970s. Competition was much less. Coaching was much less. Many people didn't even do coaching. Okay. So that was that. And the third was that I would be a writer, which was, of course, totally adventurous and daring, and was too scared to actually put that as the top priority. So, yes, I did have plan B and plan C, but actually, as it happened, I did get into a top university. So that was it. Choice was over UPSC. But otherwise, the default was to do a UPSC exam for somebody like me because I had not done science or engineering or medical. So then, एक ही रास्ता, do UPSC. But
Also,
fortunately,
you were an exception of sorts.
pardon?
Most people when they are of the age that you were talking about don't really have such options in front of them. They are not in a position where they tell themselves, okay, I have three things to do. They jump right into civils. Also, it's also a class thing, in my opinion. I think you were privileged enough to have certain backup options, or uh, things that you could have done instead of just UPSC. For most people, it's like a ticket out of their misery, out of their condition.
Yeah, I
So
agree.
we also have to understand that India is a country with many countries living
I
within it.
understand that. I understand that. Actually, what has happened is that after one of my older brothers retired, he actually didn't get into the IS. He was in the central services. He actually he worked with many other people, and they were doing mock interviews, free coaching for people to get into the UPSC. Okay. And instead of the commercial coaching where one person is teaching 15, they would form a panel of 5 people and do a couple of mock interviews with the same candidate. Okay, so you do one interview and then you do another. So they were not going to the written exam, and they were only saying, okay, you have got an interview call. Now we can coach you. So they were giving it free, and very successful at that. So it was all online and very successful at that. Unfortunately, and very busy they were with it. Unfortunately, my brother, who was the not the organizer, but the core person doing it, he actually passed away in December, so I don't know where that program is going. But the demand for it was very high. Okay, they were, and then they had actually also broadened into doing free classes for particular subjects. I don't know exactly which subjects they were doing, but they were very busy. They were all retired. Some people from universities and some mostly from UPSC, and it was going very well. So I don't think it's going to hang on because the key person holding it together has passed away. But yes, the demand was enormous, and the people who got in or who were being helped were so grateful and so thrilled that they were getting this free from very senior retired people who had no aim of their own, who were just not charging any money and they didn't need any political or social or anything. So yes, I see the demand and the hunger for it. And you are right, absolutely, that people who have other options because their families have certain background and all, they think, look, this is not necessarily for me, but for the others, it is there that, look, I can get ahead and I can do some things with myself this way. And the parents also seem to support it that, look, get a government job, then you'll be okay. So this is the best government job that there is. I understand that. Okay. So what else?
Also, this demand is artificially, what should I say, artificially fueled by the coaching industry in coalition with the motivation industry. That you have to do it, you will do it. There's nothing like it.
It's the same for the IIT entrance exam.
So which is why this intensive examination, IIT, UPSC, youth is getting trapped.
You are
And as
spending
as we
more, we are spending more money on coaching than on actual IIT tuitions
so in
because,
my understanding, you should give yourself a couple of attempts at max three. If it works out for you, well and good. If it doesn't, then the entire world is your oyster.
okay, wonderful. All right, let's turn a bit of attention to you. How do you see
Mhm.
your future?
Well,
Because if
I
you're
would
going
like
to
to,
tell people not to do the UPSC, you have to give them some sense of how you see your own future.
like I said, I took to trying my luck in the world of political consultancy, and so far it has been rather good. That's good. And uh, see, what we think, what we think of it's a new industry. So even the place, not just for those who are into it, even for those who we cater to, for each party, every day is like a new day of unraveling things. We are finding out things as days are proceeding. So everything is new, novel, and and things are looking on the upside. There's so much to do. So as long as see, there's also a bit of FOMO among the political parties. Like if a certain party has a political consultant, if they are employing the services of a consultancy firm, if we are not going to do it, maybe we are going to miss out on something very important. So so the future is on the upside. I mean, this is only going to get better and bigger.
So
So if you have a key,
the parties have money to pay you, right?
they have, and there's nothing that they want more than retaining power, right? So they are willing to do whatever it takes to help secure the seat, and
Okay.
this is where we come into the picture.
All right, wonderful. All right. But let's shift a bit to your personal side now and not just your professional side and opinions. What is it that makes you tick? What has brought you to this stage? Your own views, hobbies, anything personal, so that we get to know someone like you a bit better.
I always find it very difficult to talk about myself. It's just that so wherever I go, with school, college, or workplace, I'm one of the favorites. So instead of me doing the talking, others do it for me on my behalf. So it's always I find it when you put when the mic is offered to me, when the stage is set for me to say, it's always I find it always very difficult to talk about myself. Also, as a person, I like to keep it understated.
Okay.
So for somebody like me, when you are put in a spot, you are you go blank and like, okay, what all can you possibly said
Okay,
and
so
done?
let's not go down that hole then, because it's not something that you
So,
like to
but
do.
yeah, I mean, I like as a kid, my teacher used to call me a chatterbox. I love talking to people.
Okay.
I I think I have this innate quality to connect with people.
All right, wonderful.
I and
Okay,
I, at this point in time, I'm like working on myself in every possible. Like I want to know what the best version of myself would be like. I mean, I've taken to exercising, engineering, and all. I am trying to learn new things academically. It's like I'm trying to improve myself and become a better version of myself and see, where it goes, how it goes.
okay, wonderful. Okay, I think we are coming to an end in some fashion here. So let me ask my usual last question. What are your final thoughts and words that you want to share?
I think keeping in line with what I have spoken about, uh, there's a line that I would like to end with. अगर उनके आसमान के नीचे जगह नहीं तो आओ अपना आसमान बनाते हैं वही तो सब करते हैं आओ कुछ नया करके दिखाते हैं.
Ah, good. That's wonderful. All right, Vinay, thank you so much. Let's end it here. Don't go away. I want to talk to you offline. Uh, to all the others, I'll be back with another young person or an expert soon. Till then, bye, everybody.